What's up, you guys? Spencyd here. Welcome. I am sitting in an F14 on the deck of the USS Stennis in the middle of the Black Sea, and it is inclement, ugly weather outside. It is raining, overcast, 3/4 of a mile visibility. It's a lousy day. The reason we're doing this is to demonstrate how we're going to take off, just fly around and come back and land on the deck of the Stennis using CASEIII recovery procedures. Although we're not really going to do a full-on CASEIII. Instead, we're just going to keep this video short and just focus on flying on the needles and what we are scanning to fly this plane all the way down the needles on the ICLS and make a good trap on the Stennis. So this is my first or second time flying the Tomcat. I'm not any good at it, so bear with me. Give me a little bit of leeway. I'll do my best, but this is a tricky plane for most people. It's especially tricky on an ICLS, and I fly the Hornet, so it's super tricky for me. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and set up our altimeter. Current altimeter is 2984, and we'll throw 320 feet in our radio altimeter, or radar altimeter, and that'll give us an alert at 320 feet when we're lined up on the ship about to touch down that we are expecting to see a ship. So here we go. Doing some thrust. And go. Oh, ready down. Alright. Gear up. Accelerating flaps up. And one thing I notice about this Tomcat is it has a lot of thrust. So I'm going to make a northerly heading here. Or turn to northerly heading, and I'm going to set us up on a downwind so we can just come back around and land on the ship. Now, one of the things that you need to be familiar with if you're not already is flying on instruments. When we're looking outside and we can see things, it's a lot easier, but when you're in the clouds, all your flight reference is in your HUD and on your instrument panel. On this plane, it's in both. So I am looking at my HUD, I'm looking at the VSI on the left side, the altimeter on the right hand side, the heading on the top, and then I am scanning out of my HUD to look at my airspeed, look at my VSI, or actually more importantly my altimeter, and making corrections as I scan. Everything's kind of all over the place on this plane, so it is a difficult scan and takes a lot of practice. But after a while, you will pick it up if you haven't already. So I'm making another left turn here. I'm going to keep the turns for the remainder of the flight at about 30 degrees, just so we don't flip upside down or get disoriented or lose an excessive amount of altitude. Also, because every time I bank or increase speed or slow down, I have to re-trim on the F14 because there's no auto trim. So trimming is a big deal. All right. So let's talk about the ship here. The ship is on a heading of 087. That is the BRC, or base recovery course. We're going to go ahead and load in the BRC onto our HSD, which I believe is this green guy down here. I'm going to get rid of that stick, and we'll zoom in, and we'll go ahead and select, why don't we select TACAN here? Where am I looking at? Okay, 074 over there, and we're selecting landing TACAN. And I'm going to punch in 087. Got to make sure we're not upside down or anything. Alright. Let's see here. Alright. Still on speed, on decent altitude. Close enough. Alright. Back to the TACAN. 087. That is the ship's BRC. That is the direction the ship is traveling. We are traveling the opposite direction right now. Let's see. Now I'm going to back off 10 degrees because the portion of the deck of the ship that we're going to land on is 10 degrees off center, so it's an angled deck. So I put in 077, and that'll be our final bearing to the ship. Let's see, ILS channel 11 over here. And that is for the ICLS. More on that in a little bit. Most important two steps on flying a jet are the next two steps. So let me think, what is next? We'll come over here and turn on our display selectors to ILS. And let's see, let's look out and see where we are. Doing this while scanning is a challenge. Slowing down because I'm a little speedy. All right, let's talk about the APC, automatic power compensator. It is an important part of flying the approach. It is basically auto throttle, and its job when activated is to manage thrust so you have the desired angle of attack established for landing. And that can be verified by your yellow ball located in your AOA indicator. So the APC, I know some of you want to manually fly the thrust, but using the E bracket in this plane is very challenging. I highly recommend using your APC. More on that in just a little bit. All right, we're turning on a base here. Altitude's kind of all over the place. We'll keep it right here at about 1,200 feet. All right, and speed's relatively decent. And we are on a base on a more or less southerly heading to intercept that final bearing off the back of the ship. So looking down at the HSD, you'll see the CDI is waiting for us to get to it because that's that horizontal line on the top of it. And we are ever so slowly approaching the final bearing. So we're traveling south on a left base to intercept that final bearing to the ship. The way we're going to do this is once that final bearing starts working its way in, throw the hook out while I'm talking here. When the CDI starts working its way towards the center of that rose, compass rose, we're going to start our turn to about a heading of 110, and that'll keep us on a 30-degree cut until we actually intercept the final bearing, which again is 077, more or less. I do have some wind added in there. All right. So let's see. On the base, got the hook out. And our speed's decent. We're on about 1,300 feet. That's not too terrible. Was that 12 miles from the ship. So we're just waiting for the top portion of that HSD, the CDI, compass, or CDI, course deflection indicator, course deviation indicator, sorry. I have to think about this stuff. All right. So we are waiting for that indicator, CDI, to work its way down to the center of the compass rose. You can see that little arrow outside the compass rose represents the location or direction of the TACAN, or azimuth, if you want to use that word. I'm just waiting for that guy to come in here. looks like it's coming in. I'm making a gentle 30-degree bank turn, scanning my instruments to make sure we don't start losing altitude. And we're going to roll out on about a 110 heading, because that'll set us up for an intercept to that final bearing, and we'll join the localizer. So the ship is sending out 2 beams. One's a localizer, one's a glide slope. Localizer is lateral navigation. Glide slope is vertical navigation. There's that final bearing. We're still looking at the tack hand. I'm going to select that to ICLS with that guy, and now we got a localizer needle in our HUD and on our VDI. All right, so we're going to let those guys come in. Kind of a misnomer. We're actually flying to the localizer, and that'll show our position relative to the localizer. Right now it's to our right. Once it starts moving, we're going to make a gentle 30-degree bank turn to the left to heading 077-ish. All right, there it is. As I turn, I'm staying trimmed. I'm always trimming this thing. The nose wants to always run away from me. All right, there's about a 077 heading, gonna roll out. And right now we're lined up with the angled portion of the deck. So we are following the first beam or the lateral beam off the back of the ship. When that glide slope, now you can see it on our VDI and in our HUD, that's the horizontal line. When that horizontal line starts working its way down, we are going to decelerate, throw out our flaps, throw out our landing gear, and throw out our air brakes to slow down. And then we're going to activate that APC, automatic power compensator, basically an auto throttle. And we'll let that auto throttle keep us right on the desired angle of attack for touching down on the ship and hopefully grabbing a wire. We'll see how this all works out. About 7 miles-ish from the ship. Right. As soon as that glide path starts moving down, we'll go ahead and configure. Thinking about 15-20 seconds. Still scanning my instruments, looking through the HUD, tracking the localizer, looking at my altitude, looking at the vertical speed. Alright, here come the flaps, here comes the gear, and the air brakes are extended. There's the glide path. You can see it starting to move down. Oh, losing my localizer. Got a little right of course, so small correction to get back on it. Hopefully I can get back on it without too much drama. Alright. And to make this easier, we're going to reach down and turn on that APC. Thrust lever must be out of idle to activate it. So we'll go ahead and flip that auto power compensator on. It's right here. We'll go to auto and click. APC is activated. Sweet. All right. As we get closer and closer to the ship, these needles get more and more sensitive. So I'm kind of overcorrecting right now, and I shouldn't be. Also having a tough time with the yaw in this airplane. I'm not used to the rudder inputs on the Tomcat because I hardly ever put any on the Hornet. So a little rudder and turn coordination will help you out dramatically from fishtailing or yawing unwantedly. 900 feet, a little high, correcting. All right. So pretty soon we're going to break out of the weather and hopefully see a ship in front of us. I'm getting back on that glide path. on the localizer. When we see that ship, we're going to look for the ball on the deck of the ship and track the ball onto a visual approach. So we're going to transition from our instruments, our localizer and a glide path onto a visual approach here in just a moment. Hopefully. All right, APC's doing all the work. You got an E bracket there. And that's maintaining our angle of attack for landing. Oh, I got the ship, I got the ball. Gonna put that velocity vector or flight path vector, whatever you want to call it, I'm gonna put it right on the crotch of the ship. And track that ball in. Ooh, ow. Ooh, yeah. Well, we got something. All right, we made it.
4-wire.
All right, 4-wire, that's not too bad. All right, guys, so that was it in a shell. A lot of scanning going on, going from your HUD down to your airspeed, to your HUD again, to your altimeter, making small corrections and always staying trimmed, always trying to coordinate your turns. I did a horrible job with my rudders, but I'll do better next time. Thanks for being so patient with me. Apologize if I was a little rough in the Tomcat. This isn't my bag normally. But it is a cool airplane. It's really difficult and a heavy workload airplane. So if you can fly it reasonably well, you're way ahead of the rest of us. So I applaud you for that. So I'm going to go park it. Shooting the ICLS. The finale of the Cat 3 recovery is super satisfying. I love it. Give it a try. See how you do. It's a lot of fun. Go practice. Good luck, you guys.